So my formal education, I went to Brock for the RN program
Mhm.
to become a nurse. About third
Oh.
year, I got it's kind of like struck by lightning. I hit my moment where it changed my life. I
Mm.
had a stroke at 20.
Real Talk with Star Scorpio, episode 116. Today I'm joined by Wendy Tang, Partnership Engagement Director at Modern Angels Healthcare. Modern Angels is an organization focused on providing personalized, compassionate care to individuals and families, whether that's in the home, in recovery, or through ongoing support. Their approach goes beyond just healthcare. It's about dignity, independence, and making sure people feel genuinely supported during some of the most important moments in their lives. Wendy, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
I'm doing extremely well, and thank you for having me, Peter. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm looking forward to what this might bring.
Yes, amazing. First, I gotta say again, thank you for being here because we actually met at a community event. I believe it was in Bowmanville. So I was representing my company, Medic Alert, and you were representing Modern Angels. And I'm so thankful that you came over because this wouldn't be happening at the time, right now.
Yeah, it was a wonderful event. And I think the real opportunity is not only customer or client or family facing, it's about the relationships we're able to establish. And these are just one of the perks that we get to enjoy in our field every day.
Yeah. So on Real Talk, we like to build a timeline. But
Okay.
before I lead into that, because I'm going to ask you about, your personal life, where you grew up and things like that. But as I observed you going around the tables at the event, because there's about 20, 25 of us in the gymnasium, all there to support seniors. But you were making your rounds and you seem very like extroverted and you're just approaching tables. Does that come naturally to you? Just introducing yourselves and letting people know what you do?
No, it is not.
Oh.
And usually I'm about five coffees in before that ever
Oh,
happens. So I'm riding this huge caffeine wave
yeah.
combined with high levels of cortisol for support.
Yeah.
Great for my adrenal system.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't come naturally. And I think it really stems from facing your fears.
Mhm.
I think I was very introverted, very, very, to the point where I had extreme high anxiety
Oh,
uh,
wow.
when I was a kid and
Mhm.
talking to people, overthinking what people might think of me, over
Mhm.
reading into things. And I think that's all of us. That's
Yes.
really all of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you touched a soft spot for me too because I was that way too. I think this is what I want to learn from you. So as a kid, I was introverted. Me and my brother, we got that term, you're shy. Oh, they're just shy. Because
Mhm.
how are you doing? You just say fine, and then you stay quiet. When you're with your parents, friends, and different family members and things like that. In school, I was kind of that extroverted guy where people thought I was a comedian and stuff, but I was still quiet at heart.
Mhm.
And I always thought, what do people think of me? Even like grade six, seven, and things like that. So you growing up, how was the family dynamic? Were you with a lot of siblings? And how are your parents treating you? Were they lax or more strict?
So my parents came from China, and
Yeah.
I followed them when I was very, very young. So when we arrived, I was actually, in ESL learning
Okay.
English. And I
Yeah.
think that one of the funniest moments I still remember, that's how traumatized I am. So if my
Wow.
therapist is watching this,
Yeah.
I'm reliving my trauma through this right
Wow.
now. It was a little girl asking me something simple like, "What is your name?"
Mm.
And oftentimes, and that's when you realize the anxiety is not really based off of any fears of immediate danger. It's the fear of expectations and you not meeting them,
Wow. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because now that I've revisited so many times in my nightmares, it's
Yeah.
that little question. And I went, uh, hello, instead of saying my name, it was just me getting anxious and trying to meet expectations, whatever existed inside my head. And
Hmm.
I relived that moment a lot as a kid. And that's how it all starts, right? It's just that one moment that perpetuates a narrative inside your head. And
Hmm.
now it has become a wall instead of the path that it should have taken.
Yeah. That's well said. You know what's crazy, Wendy?
Mhm.
You know how there's a label on it now. When you're young, you don't hear that term, anxiety. You know what I
Yes.
mean? You're
Yeah.
stressed, you're anxious,
Mhm.
your heart's beating at a certain rate and stuff. I remember that really happened to me when I was reading in class. Everyone knows that situation where the teacher's pointing at you, you're next to read, you're next to read. And when it comes to you, you're already out of your body, and then you're struggling to read a sentence, and then that's anxiety coming on, and where some people didn't have it, but I did in certain situations. Some people would say when they're public speaking, they get it. Does
Mhm.
that resonate with you too back in the school days?
Oh, 100%. So that's kind of like the stemming of our childhood, right? And you
Yeah.
want to play with cool kids, and everything was so much more clicky. And it really helps and shapes who you are as a person.
Mhm.
And remember our parents saying, if you hang out with the wrong group,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to rise to the occasion. So my
Yeah.
parents were very strict in that
Mhm.
they wanted good kids for me to hang out with, and they were absolutely right. It by good kids, it was academically strong kids, kids that had both parents, or
Mhm.
how they perceive was kind of like American Canadian dream, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually they're on the path to university. So my childhood with my parents was all about goals and achievables,
Mhm.
and staying on the path that should eventually lead me to success.
Yes. Okay. Wait, did you have siblings though? Was there any?
I did.
You did.
Sometimes we say unfortunately, but yes, I have a big
Ah,
brother,
yeah.
and I think we were the bane of each other's existence. And
Oh,
but
okay.
the love was there, 100%.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, we touched on school. One of my favorite things to do now, I like to ask people, are there any teachers in your life that you remember because they were a positive influence on you, or for some people, they have a negative influence and they want to prove that teacher wrong and show them that they can make it in life? But do you remember any teachers by name and you're like, Mr. So and so really helped me, and I remember him and I'd never forget him?
I think there was one teacher, but I wouldn't say it was like someone that I found truly helped me, but it
Okay.
was someone that created structure in the way that I think. And I won't name who they are
Okay.
because I think they're still teaching, and I
Yeah.
don't want to see them at the local grocery store and be like, oh, and that's my biggest fear is running into people that I talk about, good or bad, and having that FaceTime. And
Mhm.
I do see him a lot because of what we talked about, personality in childhood and
Yeah.
how successful we become, and the way that we network and work with people.
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing that he said to me was, no matter where you go, there will always be people better than you, and there will always be people not as good as what they do with you, but what you cannot change is yourself,
That was powerful.
right?
Mhm. That's
And the
powerful.
only thing you can control is yourself.
Mhm. And you know what's that statement there? It If someone taught me this long time ago, I would probably be a different person. I would like the way I am now. Of course, I wouldn't change anything, but
Mhm.
that was a powerful statement
Yeah.
because a lot of the times we try and change for people to be a
Yeah.
certain way and it
Yeah.
doesn't work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It taught me the value of authenticity. And it
Yes.
means that you're going to say things that not everybody's going to agree with, and
Mhm.
you can't please everyone. And all you can do is be absolutely authentic and honest and supportive of what you are saying and what your actions are. And that's all you can do,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Well, Wendy, tell me something. I don't know how I would have fared if I grew up in the social media age. How
Mhm.
do you think you would have? Because because of what we were talking about, how we grew up and how we felt, the introverted and criticism stuff. I think I would have been a wreck if I had social media when I was young
Hmm.
and someone disliked something I did, a post or something. I think it would have really affected me. How do you think that would have happened when you went back to school, you were in school back in the days?
I think, same thing. I would have reacted very, very badly, and
Mhm.
especially with the constant pressure to perform for validation.
Yeah.
And being what we talked about as kids, super impressionable. Every click, every like, every view becomes this gigantic, hanging javelin that's about to drop down. And if I was in my teens and somebody didn't like my post or watch my story, or what did they like this person? Did they agree with them more? Okay, okay. Did the boy I like this girl more because there's just
Yeah,
like rapid fire sending likes
exactly.
and fire emojis. So it ties into everything that we have to weather as teenagers or even younger growing up. And I
Mm,
really felt that when during COVID, I started my TikTok page just for fun with me and my dogs.
mm.
It grew to 300K in under, I think it was like 1.5 years of just not curated, not super cool, just me with my dogs laughing, recording daily pieces of our lives. And it really gave me a lot of perspective when it
Mm.
came to social media.
Yeah, that's amazing. We talked about this before I started recording, but I'm glad you mentioned
Mhm.
that the page because we're both dog lovers and
Yes.
yeah, and you were sharing that. And you know what I find? Even before I started podcasting, when I did stand-up comedy, Facebook came about and I
Mhm.
started posting on Facebook. That was early on in Facebook. And some people would reach out to me and say, thanks, you made my day. Or if I performed live, people would say, thank you, you cracked me up, you made me laugh. I really enjoyed your show. I can imagine some of the DMs you get because you're sharing your life with your dogs and very positive. Can you share anything that you got in DMs where someone was very thankful that you shared a certain post?
I did. I shared, there was a lot of content still on that page and to today. I no longer posted from 2022 because my dog had passed. So from that point, I left the account as is. We never monetized it, never replaced, just to be able to still be in communications with people that followed us. So that was since then, we had only a 10% drop. So we kept over 260 to 270,000 in following
Wow.
with not
Yeah.
even a single post or update or story. And that was bewildering to me
Mhm.
because people today will still message me. And I think one of our biggest followers said from day one,
Mhm.
he was somewhere in the US and we would
Mhm.
communicate sometimes. And it was just, hey, you made my day.
Yeah.
Or watching you and your dogs bring something light. We talk about different topics, but it's easier to digest. So
Mhm.
being part of the family, being able to feel connected to a community, it was so important. And to think that one singular post and have someone following that account for 2, 3 years after nothing is ever posted, you would
Yeah.
think it would fade like a memory, but it
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible what social media has been able to maintain in terms of long-term memories and long-term feelings and emotions. And
Mhm.
still today, people are commenting on those videos that are years old. So it's bringing joy, connection, emotions to almost anyone. And we have people that reach out and say, this is just a wonderful show of love and trust. And image is really just, it's about reliving emotions,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, wow. That's so
Yeah.
true. That's so true.
I think I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, you got it too. Oh my,
Yes.
I wish you could see that. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, you're a kind soul. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
amazing. Um, Now I want to get into modern Angels healthcare, but what led you to that? First, when your parents came here, did they come to Toronto or did they make different stops and then land in Toronto and raise the kids here?
So my father landed first. He came over here. His background is in computer and IT. Back when networking, those huge textbooks about, I think it was like C plus.
Plus
Yeah. So you know what I'm
cobalt.
talking about.
Yeah.
Those big blocks of textbooks.
Yes.
So he really he was a lecturer on that topic. He taught privately and publicly. He
Mhm.
landed in Toronto. He was a very hard worker, typical new immigrant. He had to really fight his way, and then he brought us over to Niagara Falls, St.
Oh,
Catharines, where I
okay.
actually grew up, and
Oh.
my mom and I followed him there. So our whole experience as a family has been about perseverance. So
Mhm.
from top down, he was just such a figure that really shaped me for the rest of my life because
Yeah.
all I've seen is hard work, perseverance, success, hard work, perseverance, success. And
Mhm.
he weathered a lot of storms for us. And that's what I think if you look up the definition of being a rock, I think my dad would be it. That's
Wow.
what he was. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Amazing. Oh, um, now what did you take in university? What led you? So let me get into this now. So what led you to join Modern Angels Healthcare? Did you have background in that? Did you go to school for that? Like the healthcare industry. Tell me a little bit about your journey.
So my formal education, I went to Brock for the RN program
Mhm.
to become a nurse. About third
Oh.
year, I got it's kind of like struck by lightning. I hit my moment where it changed my life. I
Mm.
had a stroke at 20 during while I was in school and while I was doing clinical at the St. Catharines General Hospital. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So it was life changing
Hmm.
because it wasn't quickly identified with me being so young. And
Hmm.
it did at the time cause a lot of debilitations, decreased sensitivity. I had, deprived a portion of my brain oxygen, right? That's what
Hmm.
happens with stroke. It clogs everything. So there's no oxygenation happening. So from that point, I had to really go through rehab, learn how to walk, write, use my dominant hand again, and it affected my language center and as well as my memory center. So slurring my words, coming up with weird little sayings, or unable to vocalize what I actually want,
Hmm.
and being short-term memory, being forgetful. So that's like all part of a recovery that I had to go through. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
then I pivoted to business and
Mhm.
applied my nursing background to business and education instead.
Holy.
Yeah.
What? So one thing that this is episode 115. You never know. I've heard so many stories, and you never know what someone has been through or is going through at present moment. So I'm just learning right now from you because this is the first time we're actually speaking besides the event that was short. But yeah, I would never know you went through something like that. So it takes a lot too. And you had the support system too to help you through it, right?
Absolutely. And to think about that time, it was kind of life defining. It was that pivotal moment where if you had to write an autobiography or a biography about yourself and what made you you, I
Mhm.
think that would have been the moment because I
Yeah.
saw both sides of healthcare.
Yeah.
Right? The lack of diagnosis, delay, the consequence
Mhm.
firsthand, and then the kindness, the nurses, the doctors, the my parents sleeping on the hospital floor for like a month. They brought in a mat. So with all these numbers and forecast and government funding and the success of private healthcare or public healthcare in Canada, sometimes we don't stop to think about the human component,
Mhm.
right? So it was life changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like this is you just said something there too, and this is why I've been at Medical Alert for 20 years. I don't know if I told you that, but I've been at Medical for a long time. And my
Mhm.
colleague Jennifer, you met, she's 20, 21, 22 years now.
Wow.
And people know us for being, oh, you're the company with the IDs. But for being here so long, I'm here because of it's anyone could wear Medical Alert. But when I hear the stories, which is mostly seniors, I
Yeah.
get it touches me in my heart when I see someone, especially with dementia, is
Mhm.
wandering with no ID and they just have the medical alert on. So they don't have anything, probably not even dressed correctly if it's the winter weather. A stranger comes across them, sees the ID, and then they get reunited home because they call the hotline. I'm there for those moments. And it feels like you're the same way. You want to be there to help because of the history you have. And I'm sure there's many other things that you've been through. We've all been through
Of
kind of
course.
medical issues. But
Mhm.
that one incident too is life changing.
Yeah.
It shows me why you're in this type of industry too. So yeah.
Of course. And I think you see people sometimes in their most dire moments,
Hmm.
right? In crisis. And I think we talked about crisis a lot. Because of your experience, I'm sure you, like you said, you've gone through things. And don't you have that moment of like epiphany where you could would have taken this or seen this crisis differently through different eyes if you did not go through what you went through? And now all of a sudden, instead of seeing one layer, what I call the surface of
Yeah.
the reality, now you're
Yeah.
seeing the backgrounds, the families, the emotions, the aftermath, the thought that goes into this. And it's not just someone in crisis, it's families, it's networks, it's community,
Hmm.
right? There's so many layers. So I think a lot of people in healthcare, like you and myself,
Hmm.
what makes us truly good is not that we're just good at our jobs, is that our accountability has changed the moment that we have grown based on transparency and based on our experience. And now we owe, on a moral level to give
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Whew. Wendy. Oh, wow. Anytime I talk to someone and they mention something, I have particular questions, but now I just love when it just flows because now you mentioned something.
Mhm.
Because when you actually go through a situation, whatever that may be, it puts that personal touch on it, right?
Yeah.
So my daughter was a preemie. So you hear about preemies all the time. I was a preemie, right? But the doctors that helped my daughter survive, and she was only 2 pounds, 3 ounces at the time in the incubator. We had to wait till she was 5 pounds to take her home. All of these things that happen. Anytime someone tells me about an issue they're having with a pregnancy or something, I can relate to that too now because I know what they're going through and what, man, and what my, sorry, and what my wife went through at the time. And after that, she couldn't have any more kids. So this is why we only have one child because she couldn't get pregnant after that. She's had two ectopic pregnancies and then she couldn't get pregnant. So sometimes people used to ask us, "Why? Oh, you only have one? She needs a brother or sister," but they don't know what we went through. And that's why I would never say that to someone because I know you have one child, anything could have happened, you know? So, yeah,
Wow.
just want to
Thank you
share
for
that.
sharing that.
Yeah.
That's what I love. I realized probably 2 minutes and when we first talked, like prior to recording, because you just kind of know from talking to a person when they are super mindful, considerate, and thoughtful. And that only comes from real life changing experience
Hmm.
because you're not worried about what just the words coming out of your mouth. You're worried about the person on the other end. And I
Yeah.
think that's what being in healthcare is all about.
Hmm.
So we see compassion everywhere,
Yeah.
we see care everywhere. We see love everywhere. We see families everywhere. And we see situations
Hmm.
everywhere. But what really makes someone truly compassionate, in my opinion, is not just about, okay, I will hold your hand. I feel you. I hear you. I understand you. It's all about the human experience.
Hmm.
It's going beyond what is just consideration, what is part of your job to understand. It's not the diagnosis. It's not just the, okay, they have dementia. What does this mean to them? What does care mean to them? And I think you really embody that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Now, at Modern Angels, can you tell me what's your role and what does your day to day look like? Because, when I meet you, we do a little introduction and we find out about each other's company, just a little like summary of it, right? But let me know your day to day and what you do.
So at Modern Angels Healthcare, like you graciously mentioned, I am the Partnership Engagement Director. So my role essentially is business development. It's strategic partnerships. It's relationships. That's the easiest way I love to explain it.
Hmm.
It's about creating long-lasting relationships between corporation to corporation, or it could be with hospitals, it could be with long-term care, it could be with companies similarly to yours that we can really start looking at what do we align in? How can we work together to provide better service? And by us joining together hand in hand,
Hmm.
how does our end user or our end families benefit from that, right?
Yeah.
So that is my role, and you see me at events. So I'm usually running around or putting out fires.
Yeah.
Uh, I I obnoxiously, I think at the last meeting, networking meeting, call myself Harvey from from Suits because that's my like
Oh,
idealization, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's my hero right there, solving problems. And I think that's what I want to do is solve problems, solve crisis. And it's not about just what the like one solution is. It's about how do I bring in other people, other experts, other companies, other products that in the end will become the solution for a very complex issue down the road that a family may have to face.
Mm, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, what part of the business, what can I say? Um, what kind of issues do you help families with the most? What do you hear about the most?
I knew you were going to get to the good part.
Yeah.
So, Modern Angels, we provide PSW nursing support.
Mm,
And in Canada, I find a lot of the times when I first meet families, the question always is, what does that even mean?
hmm.
Right? And OHIP, I have OHIP. Do you cover OHIP? So I think the issues that we see a lot is not understanding or not educating ourselves on gaps.
Yeah.
So thinking that this card is going to cover me, but what does it cover? Where does education begin when it comes to aging? And we do help a lot of seniors. They're not exclusively just our clients. We do help those that are getting out of a car accident or getting out of the hospital, post injury, post surgical. We
Mm,
provide 24-hour care.
mhm.
When families come to us, oftentimes it's, I don't know what I need. I
Yeah.
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And can you help us?
Mhm.
So they're because the education hasn't been there.
Mhm.
They got a call. Their mom now all of a sudden, due to complications, require 24/7 care
Mhm.
and they have a job, they have their kids. And what do? They call the OHIP line, they try to deal with hospitals, but nobody's picking up. Nobody's giving them any support, maybe because they can't at that point. So they're kind of on their own to figure it out. And due to the fact that we're not normally educated when we're growing up about this,
Yeah.
and it's not embedded in the system, there's a lot of confusion. And crisis plus confusion equals,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So that's where we come in. I'm usually the one, or our founder or our nursing team is frontline to deal with these crises. So when they call us, it's my job to get as much information to be able to help direct them the right way. Even if they don't need our services, I like to be at least a tool or an information center that they can utilize to let them know, hey, there is a government program, or you can call Ontario Health at Home, which
Hmm.
is a free public service,
Hmm.
and we can get you in for assessment or get you into contact with a case manager. So, what I like to call it is I would like to be a North Star for families,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Y- Right there when you just said that, start. I'm living this right now. My mom was a nurse for over 30 years at Women's College Hospital. So
Okay.
she was in the industry. She's in healthcare for so long, right? But she's 91 now. My dad's 93. And they're going through their challenges. My brother still lives at home. I'm so thankful. He's 2 years older than me and he's taking care of them, right? I only live like 7 minutes away, but I'm there all the time.
Mhm.
But that whole start thing, because there's issues that come up, when they're elderly now, so they need to have things explained to them, especially my dad. Like, if the doctor's talking to him, one of us should be there, my brother or I, because you're not understanding what are the next steps. Oh, he's mild osteoporosis. What's the next step now? What do I do? Who do I seek out? What I'm getting at, I think, is it could be confusing to someone and scary when they don't know where to start on a situation, especially in our healthcare system. And I think you were touching on that. And I love what you do.
Yes, so that's all about kind of providing support.
Yeah,
And it's understanding, not just on the surface level, you need a PSW 24 hours, but what does that mean for the family?
right.
How does that shape up? Is there ways that we can piece together this care for you that
Hmm.
would be in your best interest instead of just, as they say, throw money at it, right?
Yeah,
So it's about understanding the complexity of the system, navigating it. You're not just calling us for a service, we're helping you navigate in times where, it feels like your frontal lobe is about to explode in
yeah,
decision making. And we
yeah.
make a lot of decisions every single day.
Oh,
But
yeah.
God forbid my family's in crisis, I'm not thinking, I'm reacting.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So to touch on that too, how do you ensure, this is gonna be interesting how you answer this one. How do you ensure that you differentiate, or how do things professional and compassionate? There's a balance. How do you think you can ensure that you're still professional, but you're still compassionate to an individual when you're speaking to them about something?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm just buying time now while I would think of a good answer. I think personally for me, and that might not be true for everyone else on my team
Hmm.
or from the top down, but for me, dealing with crisis is kind of like how you hold a butterfly. That's the way I would describe it, right? It's not the same way of how you would hold sand, right? It's not the same way as how you will hold something else. It's holding a butterfly. It's cushioning it, but still allowing the freedom of motion and what doing whatever they so choose.
Hmm.
So that's my role is that here are the options for you. We're here to support you if you need it, but never am I going to be service orientated and say, you need to do this. Here's the contract. You're locked in for the next 5 years. And this is exactly, we're not selling you a package.
Hmm.
What we're selling you is support. You have a soft place to land with us. And this hand is not going to disappear on you. And
Yeah.
having that, and it is so important the number of families I have held,
Hmm.
and I love doing that.
Yeah.
Is that I think I found it the word held, not just supported, but held
Yeah.
with compassion.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I think that's me. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. Um, do you have any individuals where you'll never forget them because they'll never forget you?
Mhm.
That you've helped them in a situation and they're so thankful right now, that they and you share your story. I don't know if you shared this story with any other podcasts or people, but those success stories, you know what I mean? Do you have any of those to tell?
I think the way I look at it is every family is a success for me.
Mm. Yes.
And I don't say that lightly. I truly feel like I achieved something. And don't get me wrong, I've had my fair share of pushbacks or they are very distraught and they're not happy with me or something I said or something I did.
Hmm.
And but in the end, it's the satisfaction when that all gets turned around.
Yeah.
So it's not about the best. It's
Yeah.
about the worst situations where they might be yelling on the phone at me,
Yeah.
but then days later, having them call back
Hmm.
or say, Wendy, I really appreciate what you said. I think that's the moment that truly defines me.
Mm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, I'm trying to think if this happened to me at Medical Alert, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, is there any situations, because you know how you have to separate, it's hard to
Mhm.
separate for me, like
Yeah.
business, personal, but is there any situation where it affected you so much where you took it home, like a family situation? Can you,
Yes.
Mhm.
I have two situations that's happened in my life, and not just with Modern Angels.
Yeah.
I'll say the first one because it's that's why I think I'm a huge advocate for mental health.
Okay.
And because a lot of times we talk about diagnosis, and the first thing you know when you speak to a person, we talk about, okay, the client or the patient is 50 years old and they have dementia, and
Mhm.
it just comes rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times when you get there, the person is distressed. They're obviously anxious, all these things, and it's you know sectioned off into one word.
Right.
Um, so this experience really opened up my mind, and that's what shaped me to be kind of more considerate, and how to save a life in less than 5 words, right? And it was a student while I was in nursing, working in nursing education, and I could tell she was very, very, very smart. And she was an international student, and she approached my office, and she had gotten a B on an exam,
Mhm.
something so small. And I wasn't really in the mood that day because I was tired. We were running in, like there's 12-hour differences at the time when I was head of the education company. And I really was thinking in my head, kid, it's just a B. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, no worries. I'll speak to your teacher, see what we can do about that. And I kind of gave her a little bit of a brush off. Didn't take her seriously. And then I saw her just go quiet and start walking out of the room. And something in my gut didn't feel right. It just didn't. And the debate I was having in my head was, oh my God, I could grab a coffee. There's 5 more minutes to the next meeting. Or do I
Mhm.
talk to this kid? And to this day, that thought like still replays in my head
Yeah.
because I ended up going, screw it. I'm going to talk to this kid. And I was
Mhm.
like, come here. And I closed the door and I started asking, I was like, why is this such a big deal for you? And even the way it came off was kind of like, why is this such a big deal? And she just broke down. She broke down and she started just not like crying to the point I thought, this like I'm gonna have to call someone. It was just like that whole body shake, and it was almost like she was grieving. And she talked about how her mom had spent her entire life savings. She's not gonna get on the honor roll. She just started pouring out her heart about everything that she's done this year, and she studied so hard, and she's such a failure, and it was just this huge cloud that loomed over her that nobody noticed.
Mhm.
And I stayed with her all afternoon and held her hand and went over everything. Spoke to the teacher. She took a few days of leave of absence, and she was put in touch with the right counseling, and her mom was notified. And about after I left that job, I never knew what happened to her, and I received a text from her that said, "You saved my life that day."
Wow.
And it just like I still have chills when I think about that. And that mindset has haunted me forever in whatever I do. So
Mhm.
with Modern Angels, why I truly believe in it is when I first came into the company, that mindset existed in our foundations, in
Mhm.
our ethos, in our values, in our company manuals, and it's top down. So that moment defined how I treated every client, every
Mhm.
person, every single I think being that I came in contact with. And because that moment of do I want a coffee really 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 sits with you.
What,
Yeah.
Wendy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm getting one of those like, okay, it's happened to me a few times, right? Again, you know how many podcasts I do. There's certain podcasts where I get like I have my shades on, like my eyes are
Yeah.
they're watery right now, and I'm getting goosebumps still.
Yeah.
Like when this happens to me, I don't know, euphoric. There's a feeling I get. It's hard for me to go on. It's hard for me to go on because I don't get this all the time, but
I get it, and that feeling is what drives me
yeah,
because I keep seeing the same person. It's
yeah,
almost like you get glimmers of the same situation,
yeah,
and almost feels um this is gonna sound cuckoo, but it feels a little faded when you get that same little instinct that pops up over and over again. It's almost like a guiding hand
yeah.
of not how to be the perfect person or to be the best at your job, but just to be a decent human. And decency, I think, is vastly missing in all of us,
Yeah.
right? And that was the lesson I learned is how to be decent. And it was a heavy, heavy, heavy lesson. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I'm smiling, man. I'm smiling inside too because I like hearing these stories too. You know what I mean? These impactful stories, and I hope they resonate with people who listen or watch the podcast. This is why I do this. Such an amazing guest.
Mhm.
I think this is a perfect time, Wendy.
Mhm.
I have a would you rather question, and
Yes.
I'm going to see how you're going to answer this.
Mhm.
Would you rather visit your younger self and give them advice for the future? Or would you rather visit your older self and have them give you advice for what's going on right now?
Oof. Okay. Okay. That just knocked it out of the ballpark. Wow. I'm usually not this indecisive. You know, I think my younger self, because it would be shaping my future and not changing the past.
Mm,
Yeah. And
that's
I
great.
think this is a moment where I talk about my biggest statement that I live by, and that's lived on my phone. It's
Yeah.
lived in everything I do. And it was just a simple phrase, and that I would go back and tell myself about 20 years ago. And is that everything you want is on the other side of fear. Yeah.
That just made the teaser. Amazing. Yeah, you said this before we started recording.
Yeah.
I love that. Wendy, I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay. Now, whether my guest chose their younger self or older self, I have four things to ask you about your younger self.
Mhm.
What would you tell your younger self about money?
Oh God, save. You don't need that purse. That's what I would say. But about money,
Mm.
um, if you and I get it. If you had to really choose between money and happiness, choose happiness. Money can
Nice.
be earned, but happiness can't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self about friends?
Hmm. I would what I would say is that there's a friend in everyone.
That's, that was good. That was
Yeah.
good. What would you tell your younger self about family?
Ooh, that families and their time together are short. Because in that moment, when you miss a moment, you're not just missing that 15 minutes or that day, that family day where you sit around the table. It's a moment where once passed, you can't go back. And it's like a countdown clock of how many years, how many moments you have. And you don't know when those moments end. So it's the most unlucky draw in the universe and the most important. So if you skimp on that one moment, you might skimp on it for life.
You're just hitting with gems. Oh my. Yo, Wendy, last one.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self about love?
That 9 times out of 10, when you face love, you don't know it.
Wow.
Yeah. Real
I've
love.
n- I
Yeah.
understand that and I've never heard it positioned that way.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Whew. Before the Star Scorpio last question, I want to thank you for sharing everything you shared today. You're doing wonderful, amazing things for especially seniors in our communities. But I want you to share where people can find Modern Angels. And also, I think, is it the main office that's on Consumers Road? Because there's a lot of different branches. Can you just share a little bit about where people can find you and how many offices you have?
So our main office, you're right, is North York. So that's a head administrative office. We are, of course, Ontario wide. So I am covering all of Southern, well, entire Ontario at this point. They can reach us anytime from the website, via email. They can call my cell. They can call the company hotline. They can call us and reach us anytime.
All right, perfect. And of course, I'm going to put up that information when the podcast goes live. Last question, Wendy. It's a choice. Do you want me to read out the Blue Jays or the Raptors?
I think you know where my allegiance lie, the Raptors.
Oh, I haven't had this question in a long time.
Oh
Even
boy.
though I mix up the cards, it
Yeah.
seems like people choose that question that I just dropped. This is one I haven't heard in a while. Name one challenging thing you had to overcome in life.
Oh wow. Like every day there's so many challenges. I'm challenging myself. That's
So,
that's it's myself. And I think you and I, why we vibe so well
Mhm.
is that it's almost like philosophical, right?
Yeah.
Um, is that we understand that the true, blockages in life
Mhm.
is up here
You're right. So right.
and
Mhm.
in everything. So I think the biggest thing that I had to overcome was myself, my fears, my anxieties, the stories I was telling myself, and
Mhm.
the beliefs that were ingrained. And I think every single person, and the older we get, the true purpose or goal is not just earn more money, security for our family, happiness, all these wonderful things. Is how am I growing today? What challenges or patterns am I breaking today? And how do those breakages shape how I improve tomorrow?
Hmm. Yeah. Amazing. I'm going to ask you this question because it's the last thing I'm going to ask you because I think you can give someone guidance that's listening that might be struggling. But before I do, I like what you said there about myself. I interviewed a rabbi in Israel
Wow.
and he got that question. And I said, name one challenging thing that you have to overcome in life. And he said, life. And that was like, wow. At the time,
Yeah.
I was like, that was my fourth season. That was a while ago.
Wow.
And I've never heard it put like that. And then you just topped this now because it's truth myself. Wow. Uh, okay. What I want to ask is, can you share any advice to someone who's on the brink of giving up on their dreams? Is there anything that you would say to that person to stay motivated and stay positive and keep persisting, pursuing what they want to do?
Oh, such a deep question. Your questions are just getting better and better. I don't know how
Mhm.
that's possible, but I've been there. I've been there multiple times. I think I'm still there. So the statement of myself being the biggest challenge still rings true here because everything only exists in our mind. So your failure, or I'm not where I need to be, or I want to give up, and if the mental health and everything else feels like this brewing storm that you see no end, it's 99% all about mindset. And there will be many times in your life where you face it. And I've seen the most amazing people come out of it. It's just changing up here. And you wake up the next day and you're like, okay, don't think about the problems, think about the solutions. Even if it's one small step, like picking up the phone instead of crying or feeling in despair and spiraling out of control, do one thing, even if it moves you a millimeter towards being better or how you would feel better, do it. And don't do it later on, do it right now. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, this has been great. The last thing we're going to do, Wendy, is the balloons
Okay.
because we're going to donate to a charity today. Okay. Okay. I have four balloons in my hand.
Okay.
The four charities that I donate to is the Fundraiser Warriors. Four little boys that donate to sick kids. They raise money for a sick kid hospital. They do a lot of things. They were on my podcast, but now they're not little anymore. Claus, Kawartha Lakes Animal Wellness Society. Uh, we both love animals, and I had the owner of Claus on my podcast, and I donate whenever I can. If her balloon is chosen, it's amazing because anything for animals. Liam's Mission, little boy born with cystic fibrosis. He was on my podcast too, and him and his mom raise money for a lot of good charities too, sick kids mostly. And then my last one, my friend Kevin, he runs a day camp for kids, Juku Sports. They got picked my last episode. And again, anything for kids, elderly, animals. This is what I like. And let's see who we're donating to today. Do you want me to pop one, two, three, or four?
I'll go with two.
All right. Star Scorpio will be don't. Oh my gosh, back to back. I know you're not gonna be able to see it, but it's Juku Sports Academy. That's my
Okay.
friend. That was last.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Juku Sports Academy, episode 115. Any last words before we sign off?
No, I think this has been an incredible experience. So thank you so much for having me on here. I would love to continue any conversation. I feel like it's brought a lot of insight for you to organize my mind. I'm like, wow. Um, yeah, this has been a defining moment for me.
Beautiful. This is Real Talk with Star Scorpio, and we out.